Good evening, everyone. I am Councillor Laura Binks, Mayor of Strathbogie Shire Council. I would like to welcome you all to this extraordinary council meeting of 7th of June 2022, held to receive written and verbal submissions on the draft 2022 to 2023 budget and the 2021 to 2025 council plan review. We acknowledge the traditional custodians of the places we live, work and play. We recognise and respect the enduring relationship they have with their lands and waters, and we pay respects to elders past, present and emerging. Today we are meeting on the lands of the Tangarang peoples of the Eastern Kulin Nations, whose sovereignty here has never been ceded. It is with pleasure that we again welcome community members into the gallery following the lifting of some COVID-19 pandemic restrictions. We are still following good hygiene practices as required under current COVID regulations. I also wish to welcome those watching the live stream meeting via our website. And I'll take the opportunity now to outline that voting at today's meeting will be held by a show of hands. If a councillor has a conflict of interest in a matter, they will be asked to leave the meeting, so no discussion on the matter will commence until we are sure that they have done so. Councillors will be contacted to rejoin the meeting after the matter has been considered and the vote concluded. We have a number of community members who have registered to speak to items on the agenda this afternoon. Some will be here in person and others will be presenting virtually. We also have Councillor Hayes-Burke, who is joining our meeting virtually. For those in the gallery, I will call you forward when it is your time to speak. Can you please come forward and sit in front of the microphone so that you are, have we got that around the... Oh, sorry, sit in front of the microphone so that those watching can hear you. They'll be able to see the back of you, but they won't be able to see the front of you, but they'll be able to hear you using this microphone, or the one down there. For those presenting virtually, please keep your microphones on mute and your video turned off until I invite you to make your presentation. You have 5 minutes each to make your submission. A bell will ring at the 4-minute mark so that you know to focus on those last few points you wish to make. Councillors, you can ask questions of clarification, but you are not to enter into any debate. I would also like to take this opportunity to send our best wishes to Tom Ma, who has been unwell recently. Tom has attended meetings month in and month out for many years now, and on behalf of councillors and staff, we wish him a speedy recovery and we hope to see him in the gallery again soon. CEO Solomon, are there any apologies for tonight's meeting?
Through you, Mayor, no, there are no apologies for this evening.
Thank you, CEO Solomon. Councillors, are there any disclosures of conflicts of interest to be made under Rule 94 of our Governance Rules and Division 2 of the Local Government Act 2020? Councillor Dickinson?
I'm just going to mention, I don't believe I have a conflict. However, it does depend upon what the topic is that Mr Hannaford is presenting, because I am a member of the Allura community, and if it is to do with pecuniary interest in the Allura community, I'll withdraw. But if it's about the boardwalk, I believe that's in everyone's interest, and I don't believe I have a conflict.
Thanks for that clarification, Councillor Dickinson. We should confirm prior to them beginning their submission as to what the nature of the submission is about, just to make sure. Was there any other councillor with a nope? No? Okay. So councillors will move to item 5.4.1 on page 1 of the report. The 2021 Council Plan 2022 update, receiving and hearing of submissions. Director Bray, may we have a summary of the report, please?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Through you, councillors, we did a review of the council plan in line with the budget cycle. Although the council plan was only adopted in October 2021, we have completed quite a number of actions in that document for this current financial year. So in order to keep the plan updated, we have deleted those actions and brought some other actions forward, just to make sure that it's current and it reflects the work that we're doing at the moment on behalf of the community. So we presented the updated draft to the community through the Share Strathbogie portal, online, and also through adverts in local papers. We received one submission, and that was from the Victorian Pride Lobby, who was supportive of our initiative around preparing a social inclusion strategy. And they're also looking for additional opportunities around building some relationships with council around services for the LGBTIQA+ community, and also looking for some additional action from council around the celebration of the International Day Against Homophobia, Biophobia and Transphobia by raising the rainbow flag. The submitters didn't want to speak tonight, so tonight we have a recommendation on page 1 that council note the receipt of the submission from the Victorian Pride Lobby, and that we provide a response at the 21st of June council meeting, where we seek adoption for the updated council plan. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Director Bray. Councillors, do you have any questions of Director Bray? No? Councillors, can I have a motion, please, and can you state what your motion is? Councillor Murray.
Thank you, Mayor. Can I move the recommendation that listed on page 1 of the agenda, please?
Thank you, Councillor Murray. Is there a seconder to the motion? Councillor Rayburn. Thank you, Councillor Rayburn. Councillor Murray, would you like to speak to the motion?
Only to reiterate that the council plan has been updated successfully, I think, and it's great to see some of those things being done and the other things being moved forward in response to that, the completion of those tasks. So I commend this updated plan, and I also support the receipt of the submission of Victorian Pride Lobby to council.
Thank you, Councillor Murray. Councillor Rayburn, would you like to speak to the motion or reserve your right to speak later? No? Okay. Would any other councillor like to speak to the motion or speak against the motion? No? Okay. Councillors, I shall put the motion to a vote. Can I see a show of hands for all those in favour, please? And against? And I declare that carried. Thank you, councillors. Now moving on to item 5.4.2, draft 2020 to 2023 budget report, 2020 to 2023 to 2031-2032 financial plan, and the 2022 to 2023 fees and charges, receiving and hearing of submissions. Director Roth, can we have a summary of this report, please?
Thank you, Mayor. So the budget for 22-23 has been drafted and was advertised for 28 days. Submissions closed on the 23rd of May and we received 23 of those. Of the 23 submissions, 10 submitters wished to speak to their submission. So this is the purpose of tonight, for council to listen to the submissions. After the meeting's concluded, and in the next week or so, we'll provide commentary on the submissions for council to consider, and then council would meet on the 21st of June to adopt the budget.
Thank you. Thank you, Director Roth. Councillors, are there any questions of Director Roth? No? Okay, councillors, we have a number of people wishing to make to speak to this item. And so the first is Kevin Hanrahan from the Allura Owners Corporation, who will be joining us via Teams. Kevin, if you would like to turn your camera and microphone on, please. Thank you. Kevin, before we start your submission, can I just clarify for the benefit of Councillor Dickinson if your submission is the nature of your submission so he can ascertain if he has a conflict or not?
My submission is specifically in relation to the 20% rate rebate agreement for the Shire, for the corporation.
Thank you for that clarification, Kevin. Okay, so just note that Councillor Dickinson has noted he has a conflict of interest and is leaving the room. And your patience, please, while our automatic doors close. Okay, thank you for that clarification, Kevin. You now have 5 minutes to make your submission. Thank you.
Okay. First off, I'd like to thank the Shire for the opportunity to present its case to enter into a new agreement for further 4 years. In support of the request, I'd like to give some background to the lyrics which started saying.
Kevin, sorry to interrupt you. Can I just ask you to perhaps move your microphone closer to your mouth? We're not capturing the one. I don't know if it's the one on your earpieces.
No, it's actually on the computer.
Yep, that's better. That's clearer. Yep, thank you.
All right. Okay, can we start again?
Sure.
Okay. Look, first of all, I'd like to thank the Shire for this opportunity, and I'd like to give the council some background development. Just go back some way, and I need to declare that I was the former CEO of the Shire some time back. That's hence why I have no business.
Sorry, Kevin. We're still getting a little bit of broken up. I might ask you to turn off your camera. It might assist in being able to transmit the audio better.
Okay, we'll try that.
That is clear. We shall, hopefully we have success now. Sorry. We'll start again.
Okay, just going back to the background of the development. The developer proposed a rate rebate as the developer wished to set a high level of service for the developer, showcase the opportunity of what a good development with high land values, quality homes, and of course high CIV for rating purposes, managed by an owners corporation and not the Shire's normal level of service. The director corporate and the director infrastructure were tasked with assessing the cost of service to be avoided by council and offer rate rebate in lieu of services. Their calculations were a rebate of 39.4% and council set the rebate at 40%, noting that the rebate was restricted to the lot numbers affected in the agreement was to the early block sold, which is in our submission, and does not extend to the newly created blocks with the developments. The owners of the above blocks, when signing purchase agreements, made such decisions knowing an agreement was in place, whereas new purchasers were not entitled to this rebate. This rebate was to facilitate the first phase of the development, which was to show what a great place the Gambie could be to move to. The next agreement reduced the rebate to 20% as the Shire assumed control of the public roads, street lighting and signs, shared pathway along the lake frontage and constructed access road to Buckley Park. It is not known why the corporation in the next agreement proposed a reduction in the rebate. The owners corporation is the only development of its kind within the Shire and as such does not create a precedent for other existing developments. The public road access to Buckley Park is via the developer-owned corporation land. Lot owners currently pay $1,400 per block per annum, fees to manage the land, and a 20% rebate does not anywhere near cover the cost due to the high valuations. The higher level of service provided to development has meant higher prices for land and quality homes, which extract a significantly higher rate income for the Shire than other lower service level developments. The EOC provides public recreational access to the town's only safe sandy beachfront, with public barbecues located on the beach, which are maintained by the corporation and are free for public use and the EOC maintaining the area. This facility attracts a lot of non-Allura resident users. The beachfront and landscape areas provide public recreational walking and fishing for all the Ngambie township and showcases the town to visiting tourists as a destination for future investment and growth. And I think we're seeing that growth in the town. Like other landowners, EOC has not obstructed the public's access to EOC land and recreational facilities. And as I said earlier, the corporation's never been advised the justification of reducing the rebate from 20% to 10%. And as such, the EOC requests the Shire to maintain the rebate at 20% for the next 4-year agreement for the restricted number of lots as mentioned earlier. Thank you.
Thank you for your submission, Kevin. Councillors, do you have any questions of clarification for Kevin? No? Okay. Thank you, Kevin. You may turn off your microphone, mute your microphone. You're most welcome to stay tuned into the meeting, either via that link or you can watch it online. Thank you. The second speaker tonight is Laura Baker of the Euroa Community Action Group, who will also be joining us via Teams. And she's already ahead of me with turning on her camera and her speaker. Thank you. Her microphone. Thank you, Laura. You have 5 minutes to make your submission. Thank you, Laura.
Thanks so much, councillors. Thanks for the opportunity to be here today. I probably won't take the 5 minutes. I'm here to discuss the funding that we received in relation to public arts, the Arts and Sculpture Trail for the Strathbogie Shire. So collectively between the Chamber of Commerce, the Longwood Action Group, and we also spoke with other action groups as well. We did pitch through the Pitch My Project concept to have an arts and sculpture trail that connects the towns across the Strathbogie Shire. We received a letter saying that we were to get $20,000 of scoping funding, which was great for the acknowledgement of the project. However, I think it quite misses the mark with the need for public arts within the Strathbogie Shire. We did an audit recently and we couldn't find any public art really in Euroa itself. We know that there's broader trends around tourism happening at the moment with the Silo Trail and us as a gateway to a lot of those sort of tourist trails and venues. So we think it's a really big opportunity right now to not just spend time scoping, but to actually deliver public art for the benefit of our community, but also for the benefit of tourism and to engage with local artists as well, to create those sculptures and those pieces of work for us. So our desire, I guess, for this is for us to have a further discussion around how that $20,000 can be allocated and what the role of council officers are in that scoping versus what this money could be used to actually get some public art off the ground this financial year coming, because we see that the need is present and it can also catalyse great things like our arts and culture working group that we're just kicking off within the Euroa Community Action Group and other things as well. So we'd like to see momentum, not just planning and scoping through the submissions of funding. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura, and apologies, Councillor Dickinson. I neglected to bring you back in after that last item. Thank you, Councillor Haysbert, for alerting me. No gold star for me tonight. No, that's true. Does any councillor have clarifying questions of Laura regarding her submission? Councillor Hourigan? Yep.
Thanks, Laura, and thanks for your submission. So are you suggesting that, or is it your intention that rather than the budget currently having a scope and design for an art trail, that it is replaced with a piece of public art, or are you asking and more for a public art?
Ultimately, I'm doing the old El Paso one and we have both moment, but if we can't have that, then that's also totally understandable. I think one of the things that we would really like to see is not just planning, but actually some activation. So if there can be some small extra funding to do an activation to showcase public arts, that would be highly desired. And also just sort of trying to understand, I guess, how that $20,000 was envisioned to be used by council. Was it to get a consultant in, or are there officers who can kind of complete that work? So what we would really like to see is a bit more understanding of what that looks like, because we've had no correspondence with council to this point around that funding. But what we would really like to see is more action rather than just sort of planning. So we would like to see both off the back of that. So funding for scoping or council officer time for scoping, but also the delivery of some public art this financial year. Or this coming financial year.
Thanks for that clarification, Laura. Were there any further clarifications sought? No? Okay.
Can I?
Oh, yes, sorry. Councillor Murray.
Thanks, Laura. Did you say you couldn't find any public art at the moment around the Shire?
In Euroa, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Laura, for your submission. You can now turn your camera and microphone off. As per Kevin, you're most welcome to stay either in this meeting or tune in online, and thank you for your submission. The next speaker tonight is Neil Garrett. Neil, can you please come forward? And you might need to turn on the microphone.
By pressing the button.
By pressing the button. There you go. Well done.
How's that?
That is great.
Thank you.
So you have 5 minutes to make your submission, and if you would like to start. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you for this opportunity. I understand that you've been provided with a copy of my written submission, which I commend to you to read in full. It was prepared by me from the point of view of a Violet Town ratepayer and contains a number of observations, suggestions and criticisms. I believe the budget contains many fine things, but today is to propose changes to that budget. My dad always said to me that you get what you paid for, and to get quality you need to pay for it. Unfortunately, we in the Strathbogie Shire continue to pay the highest rate, one of the highest rates, that is rates for a property of equivalent value in the state, whilst having one of the lowest per household incomes in the state. Yet we do not receive a quality product as measured by the Community Satisfaction Survey and by community sentiments. We were led to believe that there would be significant changes to the performance of the Shire with a new CEO and a new council, but this has not been delivered in my view. It's disappointing that the aspirational targets contained in the proposed budget is so low. Only 1 or 2% increase in these results are expected by the implementation of this budget. I presume that this is based upon very low expectations by the officers and the council of their own future actions. What I'm suggesting is that the following take place. Firstly, that we reduce the rate increase by 50%. This action could commence a much needed planned reduction in the legacy of rate rises of 43%, which occurred in the period of 2010-2013. And direct the CEO to make such changes to the budget. This, I believe, is very simple to do, and I'll explain that later. Secondly, prepare guidelines for the Pitch My Project program to ensure that it doesn't include programs which should be in the building maintenance program. 3, to undertake effective community consultation program with the Violet Town community and the community as a whole in regard to the spending $5 million at the Violet Town tip, which is there to protect the health of the community. What is the risk? What are the dangers? Why is the requirement made? There has been no consultation with the community on those matters. The EPA guidelines require that operators of a waste disposal facility keep the community informed of any changes to that facility. This has never occurred. Number 4, direct the CEO to ensure that the staff are aware of Council's values, which include to be a respectful, innovative, open and transparent, fair and ethical council. I have a regular contact with the council, and unfortunately these qualities are often lacking. Fifthly, direct the CEO to raise the aspirational targets for the performance indicators in the budget by at least 10% and require the budget to be adjusted to reflect such figure and ensure the work performance by staff conform with such targets. Sixthly, direct the CEO to ensure that the major initiatives of, and I mention them, to continue to explore free camping possibilities and RV-friendly town accreditation, and secondly, the review of the Viola Town District Strategic Plan to guide future development and growth while maintaining local character achieved and implemented by staff. Delete the inappropriate proposal to construct footpaths on both sides of the street in Cowslip Street in gravel and replace it with a concrete one, singular, on the south side. Reduce the 2022-23 capital works by the amount of funds required to enable the rate increase to increase by no more than 50%. This is simple and doesn't have any practical effect on the achievement of the budget items and its outcome. Ninthly, to ensure the implementation of the Viola Town flood study is included in the Council's work program and provide a budget for preliminary design works. 10thly, to ensure that the budget is provided with some work for the implementation of the Viola Town and Strathbogie streetscapes, as all the money has been spent.
Neil, that's your 5 minutes, I'm afraid.
Thank you very much for hearing me. A copy of this has been sent to the CEO, which can be distributed, and I'll answer any questions you wish.
Thank you. Councillors, were there any clarifying questions of Neil? No? Okay, thank you, Neil. The next speaker is Bill Sargood of the Aroa Bowls Club. Bill, would you like to come forward? Thank you. And please, you can start your submission. You have 5 minutes. A bell will sound at the 4-minute mark.
Okay, thank you very much, and good afternoon, councillors, and thank you for the opportunity to speak to the allocation of funds for the removal of asbestos, which is in the Aroa Bowling Clubhouse. The Aroa Bowls Club was established in 1895 and has currently 80 members. We have 3 pennant teams which represent our town in both the weekend competition and the midweek competition in the Goulburn Murray Bowls region. The age of our bowlers varies. We currently have 4 bowlers in their 90s playing in our pennant teams, but I find that all the bowlers in the club is a very important part of their life, both for their mental and physical well-being. Social bowling activities are conducted on a regular basis during the summer. Very successful tournaments are held, attracting visitors from right across Victoria. A 6-week business house bowls competition is run through January and February, thoroughly enjoyed by approximately 80 local participants, and they're mostly non-bowlers. Our greens are of such a high standard that the association regularly uses them for pennant finals, and they are also used in the Victorian Open Championships. We are constantly complimented on the standard of the greens and the lovely garden surrounds. The work to maintain these is all done by a group of volunteers. For some time, the board has discussed ways to improve our club rooms. Quite frankly, the standard of our men's toilet has been an embarrassment. We welcome and appreciate the allocation of the $17,000 for removal of asbestos and renovation of the men's toilet, and the $15,000 for the relocation of the switchboard. This will greatly help in our plans to upgrade the clubhouse facility to a standard that will match the rest of the complex. The removal of asbestos from the walls of the male toilets will also require the removal of the pans, urinal and shower, and would be inefficient to reinstall those old fittings, some of which are of cast iron, a material that has not been used for many years. An energetic team of volunteers has seen the club run profitably in recent years, and we are keen to contribute to a clubhouse renovation that will provide even better social facilities for our members. And because of the hard work of these volunteers, the club is in a financial position that, with the help of the funds that you have allocated, will provide enough to facilitate a substantial change to the decor of the club rooms. This will certainly add to an asset of the Shire that would attract more use for functions such as wedding receptions, funerals and other social activities. The bowling club is great for what has been established and maintained over the years by dedicated members, both past and present. The current board and members are keen to keep improving this facility and to further enhance its value to the Shire, remembering that it's built on Shire land and Shire building. To us it is important, and I hope you see it that way too, and we look forward to future discussions and constructive planning with council representatives.
Thank you for your submission, Bill. Councillors, do you have any clarifying questions for Bill? Councillor Murray.
Bill, are you asking for an increased allocation in the budget or some adjustment to the two lots of money that have been allocated? What exactly?
No, if we could receive those, that would be. We are prepared, and I'm not sure to what amount because I'm just a board member. I can't speak for other members of the board, but I'm sure that we could contribute an equal amount from our funds to do what we would hope would really make it a much more attractive building.
Councillor Horrigan.
Thank you. Bill, you're just saying thank you for the budget allocation that's in there currently.
That's right.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Bill, for your submission. Our next speaker tonight is Linda Stanford from the Royal Friendlies Oval Committee of Management. Linda, would you like to come forward? Thank you, Linda.
Hi, everybody. Most of you I've never met before, but I was treasurer of the Uriah Cricket Club for some 20 years, treasurer with the late Laurie O'Brien, the Memorial Oval Committee, and the last 5 or 6 years I've been treasurer of the Friendlies Reserve north of town, which you must all agree now looks attractive. With their only income being fees paid by user groups who are busy fundraising for their own purposes, we're looking for some assistance from the Shire on a regular basis for maintenance of the ground to cover costs such as scarifying, spraying, verti-drain, fertiliser and equipment which needs servicing and repairs, and minor repairs and maintenance and upgrades to the pavilion and car park. We have had to purchase a tropical rated fridge to cope with the heat in summer in the kitchen. We previously had 2 second-hand ones which were very unreliable. Over the last 3 years we have successfully applied for several grants used to purchase this fridge, a motor mower, leaf blower, whippersnipper, urn and defibrillator. However, we're now locked out from applying for 2 years. The Friendlies Committee of Management and our user groups put many hours into maintaining the oval already, but some regular allowance from the Shire is needed to ensure basic normal and abnormal maintenance of the oval playing service and general precinct, other than what the Shire currently undertakes. Maintenance is estimated at some $25,000. We often find it frustrating that requests to the Shire can take 6 months going up the chain of command for a decision and then another 6 months for any action to happen. In some cases, your budget's already spent before we make any application. The Committee of Management recently paid for Henry III to clean out the septic tank. The faulty cap was referred to the Shire for a repair. Has it been done? Who knows? As far as I'm aware, there's been no feedback. As the Memorial Oval receives a grant of some $16,000 per annum, we would like a similar amount to run the precinct more effectively. We're more than happy to account for the spending, but request the Shire continue to provide maintenance as currently undertaken. On our list of requests is still car park security and lighting, preventing vandalism and assisting hockey players in the dark, insulation for the kitchen, septic lid repair and hot water to the showers. We're still waiting for the outside toilet to be started. This was originally brought up 2 years ago. If you're unable to assist with the above, could you please advise what budget you have for the Friendlies Reserve so we can work out our priorities? A couple of years ago, there was an article in the Gazette about some 70,000, 80,000 put aside for the Friendlies. Where is it? Who knows? Thank you for listening to me. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Linda. Councillors, are there any clarifying questions for Linda? No? Okay, thank you. Our next speaker is John Hyland from Avenel Active. John, would you like to come forward, please?
Thank you. Mayor Binks, councillors, council officers, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for the opportunity to address the meeting this afternoon. As you heard, my name's John Hyland and I'm representing Avenel Active Inc. today. I wish to address the group's application for funds to conduct a scoping study to develop a landscape car park in Avenel. The vast majority of parking in Avenel is done street side, especially in the town centre, and the number of spaces is limited and the area becomes very crowded, especially on Tuesday, Thursday and Friday when the medical clinic is operating and the residents are visiting the pharmacy and post office. Added to the local traffic is the movement of commercial vehicles from the Goulburn Valley Freeway through Avenel, which occurs daily. This situation will become worse as there are 4 housing estates being developed in the town, which will result in an extra 150 houses, placing approximately 200 to 250 extra vehicles on the streets of Avenel. Such an increase in vehicle and foot traffic needs to be managed effectively to ensure the amenity of the town and the safety of our residents. There is therefore an urgent need to expand car parking facilities with access to the town centre. A suitable site has been identified between the railway line and Saleyard Road in Bank Street. This area is a bare, unsightly tract of land which is part owned by Vic Track. It is adjacent to the main northern entrance to Avenel. Here is an opportunity to convert this area to a substantial car park, incorporating an appealing landscape design to enhance the experience of a visitor to Avenel. Such a development would be consistent with the Shire's Streetscape Renewal Initiative. A preliminary plan for the area in question was developed by Shire engineers several years ago, but this included very few car parking bays. However, it seems this plan could be a starting point for future development of the area. Our application to pitch my project for $55,000 to scope the project has been included in the draft budget for 22-23. It is included on page 37 under infrastructure/roads as the first line item. Unallocated infrastructure fund, total allocation $147,000. The proposed scoping task would determine whether the land could be leased from Vic Track and develop a design and costings for the area. We are hoping that councillors will agree that this is an important project for the town of Avenel and that will improve the ability of the residents to negotiate the town centre safely and conveniently. It will also add to the attractiveness of the town by improving the northern entry, thereby enhancing the Avenel experience for residents and tourists. We hope you will find our case sufficiently compelling to have the application approved for the 22-23 budget. Thank you.
Thank you, John, for your submission. Councillors, are there any clarifying questions for John? Councillor Murray?
John, could you just highlight some of the safety issues you think that might be addressed by this, by the parking there?
Sure. On the days that I mentioned, Paul, traffic comes and goes in both directions along Queen Street, which is quite a narrow street. Cars park on each side. Cars move in and out. Because of the railway crossing structured as it is, it's very difficult for traffic to move either north or to the west, and therefore people tend to do U-turns at places that are quite inappropriate. And there are no really well-designated crossings there for people to get across, and the traffic is only going to get worse, as I said. So we really need to do something about it before someone gets hurt.
Thank you. Thanks for that response, John.
Thank you.
There's no further questions. Thank you. Okay. Our next speaker is Fiona Smith from the Nagambie Bowls Club. Fiona, would you like to come forward, please?
Good afternoon. Thank you for allowing us to do this submission. Can I just walk around and give you some photos? Back a couple of years ago, we had our new surface put in at the Nagambie Bowls Club, costing $260,000. Just after that, we spoke with the previous CEO, Steve Crocker, and raised our concerns with the skate park replacing the croquet club directly behind the Bowls Club. Our concerns were A, a fence wasn't getting put up, B, what damage could be done to our greens. So the skate park was constructed. There was no fence put up. So we raised a grant through Department of Justice and put a new colour-bond fence around the whole surrounds of our greens. Obviously, the Bowls Club had to contribute to that fence to get that put up. Back in New Year's Eve, we had quite a few young people on the skate park throwing damaging fireworks onto our greens, resulting in $29,000 worth of damage. This has restricted our play with the Bowls Club, restricted us getting a guarantee for Victorian Open, unable to get finals at the clubs. I have spoken with Lloyd Williams directly afterwards in January, and also the lady that was going to be running the skate park, raising our concerns. Going back a bit further, this was in November, I spoke to them raising our concerns of what litter was getting thrown over the green and over the fence. Consequently, after that, the damage got done. They did indicate the Shire would be putting a higher fence there, and that still hasn't happened. I've given you some photos today. The first one is the damage that has been done. Again, $29,000. We are not able to get the carpet until later in September because it has to be freighted over from England, and that we've just been indicated is going to cost another $6,600 if we're choosing to go by air freight. Our small club can't afford that, so we're now getting it by sea freight. So instead of 2 or 3 months, that's now going to be nearly 6 months before we get that. The second photo I have shown you is the fence, the current fence in the corner, indicating the height that we are wishing this fence to be, which is the equivalent of the height of the tennis club. I have the third indication there is our quote, which comes in at $5,918. This is very similar fence to the tennis fence. Working in with that, with no solid fencing there, so it still gives some aspect to the skate park. And yeah, obviously quite secure and stopping stuff coming over the fence, damaging our greens. Thank you.
Thank you for your submission, Fiona. Yep. Councillors, are there any questions of clarification to Fiona? No? Okay, thank you, Fiona. Our next speaker tonight is Anna Close from the Nagambie Lakes Community House. Anna, would you like to come forward and commence your presentation.
Yes, I'm speaking on behalf of the budget submission from the Community House. So I don't know if Reg needs to, seeing he's a member of the Community House.
I'm not intervening on that.
No, you're not. No, I just don't know where where the boundaries go.
Okay, so Reg just didn't have his speaker on there for those online. Reg has clarified he is a member of the Community House, however, he's not a committee member.
Okay. Great, thank you. Thank you so much for letting me be here today. I would like to start by acknowledging the Dagongwarang people, who are the traditional owners of the land on which we meet today, and pay my respect to their elders, past, present, and emerging. Now, inevitably, a budget submission will contain a lot of numbers. You now know that we have 16 different groups that meet on a weekly and a monthly basis. And you know that we had over 11,000 people, or 11,000 views on our YouTube Advent calendar that we did during the pandemic. And you also know that the Community House provided over $5,000 of community value over just 4 days last year. And you also know that we organize a wide range of events, workshops, courses, and classes over the course of a year. And numbers are important, but they can only tell you so much. I believe that a much better way of measuring impact and outcome is by listening to people's stories. Because by looking at our book at our door, you might be able to count how many people come through, you might see what their names are, but you don't know their stories. You don't know, for instance, that one of the ladies that walked through the door and actually didn't even sign her name, she had been sleeping on the streets the night before. She came in and she got help to track down her caseworker, talk to her caseworker, and that same night she slept in a warm bed in a warm house. See, numbers won't tell you that. And numbers won't tell you about the joy that all those grandparents felt when they were able to watch their kids sing and read and perform in our YouTube Advent calendar. And numbers won't tell you about the relief that all those elderly people felt when they could come to the house and get help with their MyGov account and downloading the vaccination passport at the Community House, because they had to show that everywhere they went. And numbers won't tell you what it feels for a person that doesn't know where their next meal is going to come from when they get to walk into our food pantry and leave with a food voucher for IGA and 2 bags full of food. See, numbers will not tell you these things. And numbers certainly will not tell you what the house means for the mental health of all those people that live in the Gambia and who were isolated during lockdown, who got someone who monthly came and rang on their door and said from a safe distance, "How are you doing today?" and handed over one of those newsletters that you're looking through right now so that they could still feel connected to the community. A little while back, I asked a few people if they wouldn't mind sharing with me or sharing with us all what the Community House has meant to them. And I'm going to take just a short while and read out what they wrote. In a time of need, my friend from the Community House was there for me and helped me start a new stage of my life. It is the most welcoming group of people. My particular love is writing group and walking group. I'm looking forward to getting some more skills this year. The Community House was the reason I got a job. New to Ngambia, 18 months ago, we were given a Ray White welcome pack, which talked about the house. I think we went there very soon after moving, and we haven't looked back. What a great way to jump in with both feet and know you won't be allowed to sink. Great courses, great leaders, great admin, and a friendly community. Wow. The welcome group is a marvelous idea and provides an opportunity for new residents to meet others. It's been the start of the best social life I've ever had. Then there are people that come into the house with pain and trauma that gets help getting referred to better help. There are people that come in that have made mistakes and are embarrassed and maybe gets entrusted with some responsibility for the first time in their lives. Then there are people who are incredibly wise and educated and talented who come and share their knowledge free of charge just as volunteers. And the best part is that everyone is welcome. Everyone belongs. And I personally believe that everyone's got something to bring to the table. This past Saturday that just been, the community house helped support a fundraiser for family in the Gambia that's going through a really tough time. And because we have liability and insurance, we were able to book the big mechanics hall and raise a lot of money for this family. And I loved that we could do that. I love that that's who we are. And that's why I'm not ashamed to be here asking for money today, because I know that every cent that you give us will go straight back into the community.
Thank you. Thanks. Do councillors have any questions for Anna? Questions of clarification? Yes, Councillor Murray.
Hi, Anna.
Hey.
Can you tell me if the community house has an income or makes any money out of the out of those courses and so on?
Yeah. So we're a not-for-profit organisation. We're incorporated. And we do receive government funding, as do all the 400 neighbourhood houses in the state. But what's different with our community house is that we don't receive any funding from our shire. If you look at the neighbouring shires, for instance, they get $21,000 per year from the shire or $18,000 per year from the shire, because the shire recognizes how well spent that money is and how much they get back for their buck. So that is what's different. We don't usually charge for our classes and courses unless it's, for instance, an RSA or a boat license course where we have to bring in someone from, from the outside to hold the course. Otherwise, we charge $2 for tea or coffee. That's about it.
Thanks, Anna. Were there any further clarifying questions? No? Okay, thank you. Thanks, Anna. The next speaker tonight is Scott Embling from the Euroa Memorial Reserve Committee of Management. Scott, if you would like to please come forward and commence your presentation.
Yeah, thank you. First of all, my name's Scott Embling. I'm the chairperson from the Euroa Memorial Oval Committee of Management. I'll just read from a submission. I'd like to apologise first. I've seen a fair few spelling mistakes, but I wasn't really good at English at school, but I was pretty good at maths, and I'm pretty sure I got the figures right there. But I'll just read this because I've never been in this position before, so here we go. As a committee of management, we are seeking financial assistance to upgrade the playing surface of the Oval. I was informed from community members of the Euroa that the last time major works were undertaken on the Oval was in 1996. The Committee of Management have had professional advice from Rob Diora, who advised us that the playing surface is in desperate need of repair. In Rob's terms, it needs scarification, which will break up, loosen and rough up the playing surface. Verti-draining will penetrate small holes into the turf to allow oxygen to reach the subsoil. This breaks up the thatch and allows the surface to drain properly. Finally, laser levelling the whole ground, with which sand is applied across the entire playing surface. Even though, as a spectator, you would look at the playing surface and say it's green and it looks fine, it clearly is not. As a committee of management, we've had some concerns from several user groups regarding the playing surface being uneven, patchy, which in turn may cause injuries to the users. We recently held a Euroa gift and we'd like this event to grow. It provides financial support to our local economy. The Memorial Oval is a place that brings people together. During the winter months, the precinct can accommodate on most weekends over 1,000 people, from Oscook participation on Friday nights to the Euroa Football Netball Club hosting teams all over the Golden Valley in the GVFL and GVFNL. We've had a lot of families from Euroa and surrounding towns playing for Euroa in the junior football netball clubs. In the summer, the ground is used by the Euroa senior and junior cricket clubs every weekend. The Euroa Secondary College also utilises the ground for their annual school athletic carnival and also cross-country running days. Last of all, it is surprising how many people within the community take their dogs for a play and just utilise the facilities and the area. The cost of these works still needs to be finalised. However, we've received an estimate of $17,000. As a committee of management, we're committed to financially providing $5,000 towards these works. The committee of management would appreciate the support of $12,000 from the Shire of Strathbogie. Just continuing on from that, yes, we do receive $16,000 from the Shire, and we do appreciate that very much. It does go a fair way. We still, bring an income in. Our income is that we get money from the user groups. It's not a lot. COVID has, I know it's easy to use as an excuse, but it actually has hit us a bit. But having said that, we actually have given a bit of relief on that with the thing. But like the $16,000 goes to maintenance, ground repairs. But like I said before, a lot of people use this area, and it brings the community together, brings families together, and I'm quite proud to actually be on a committee of management to see growth within the community and that. So I really appreciate your time today, and thanks for the others for putting their submissions in today. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Scott. Councillors, are there any questions or clarification for Scott? No? Okay, great. Thank you. Thanks, Scott. Okay, wow, I am up to the last speaker for this evening, and our last speaker tonight is Graham Pollard. Graham, would you like to come forward, please, and commence your presentation?
Thank you, councillors and officers. It's a pleasure to be here. My proposal, my presentation tonight focuses on a submission that I made in the Pitch My Project process. Council has undertaken numerous bodies of work with regards to, and I do not like the term, urban green infrastructure, so I'm assuming that's, in my speak, is trees, shrubs, that sort of thing, which most people understand. I have put a bit of work in to try and improve the tree coverage in my little area of Ngambie. I maintain the northern end of Trinity Reserve, which is located north of McGregor Avenue and east of Tarquin Place in Ngambie Township. It was part of stage 1 of the Rouvale Estate development. And this proposal I've put forward is that as part of a multi-stage project, stage 1 is that we undertake some investigation and planning to see what we can do with the ground conditions that are there. Currently, it was part of it is the drainage basin that was constructed at that time. So material was excavated out to satisfy the drainage requirements, spread over the neighbouring blocks, and that was it. So what we now have is a heavy plastic clay basin floor, which in summer dries out and cracks greatly, and in winter it just holds water, sits there, doesn't drain. My proposal is to undertake a survey and design testing of the soil to see what can be done to improve its arability such that we can actually grow things in there. Get a design done which will take into account integrated water management, if you like, water sensitive urban design, if you like that term, but basically construct some French drains along each side of the basin, have a crown or a bit of a crest down the centre so the water sheds off, gets into the drains, and then allows it to soak back into the ground so that we have, you could argue it's water reuse, which is also part of what we're trying to do. But anyway, maintain the water on the site so that we can have passive tree watering, which is another fancy term that's moving around in the climate change action plan program. And when that design is done, the preparation of tender documents for the construction of it, together with the development of what's called a P90 estimate, and P90 meaning there's a 90% probability that this estimate's going to be correct. It's based on risk management in estimating. So then we have a body of work that we can then apply for funding in stage 2 or 3 to develop, get the work done so that we can then plant trees and shrubs and urban green infrastructure in this area, and it's got a good chance of surviving. Now, to me, it ticks a lot of the boxes which Council's heading down the path of. This takes us down that journey. But what's missing in the documents that are out there, it just says plant. It starts at planting. Well, you've got to go back before that and work out what the ground conditions are and what you need to do so that when you do plant the trees at perhaps $1,000 each, or I've been told that Council is going to, which started in financial year 22, but $400,000 over 4 years planting 1,000 trees. So we're talking about $400 a tree then, with the procurement, planting and maintenance of them. I want to make sure that we get real value for money out of those investments by making sure that we've got the ground conditions right which can sustain these trees. Now, I've nominated Trinity Park, or Trinity Reserve, because that's nearby and I've started doing some stuff. The trees that I've planted, they struggle along. I keep them watered during the summer and hope like heck that they don't suffer from wet feet and die. I've planted oaks, I've planted ash trees, as well as agapanthus, which is also urban green infrastructure. You're welcome to come and have a look on Posi maps, but it is part of, or I see it, it is part of what Council is trying to do, and that's about getting, developing shade, reducing the urban heat island that the place can be. It continues or will develop habitat for native fauna and people along the drainage basin that the Trinity Reserve is the north end of it. So what I ask you is, councillors, could you please be bold, could you be welcoming, and could you be interested enough to give me well, not me, but make an allocation or get it out of the 14,000 that I seek, which I think would be enough, out of that 400,000 just to trial this in Trinity Reserve, and I expect that it would also be scalable, that it could be taken further down that linear reserve.
Thanks. Thank you, Graham. Thanks.
Thank you.
Councillors, were there any clarifying questions for Graham? No.
No.
Thank you, Graham. Okay, thank you to all our submitters, both online and in the gallery this evening. We really appreciate the effort you have taken to participate in this budget review process. Councillors, can I have a motion, please, and can you state what your motion is? Councillor Hourigan.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to move a motion that we adopt the recommendation on page 6 of the agenda.
Thank you, Councillor Hourigan. Do I have a seconder to the motion? Councillor Murray, thank you. Would you like to speak to the motion, Councillor Hourigan?
Please, thank you. Through you, Mayor, I'd like to thank all the submitters for attending today. It takes courage to sit in front of everyone and read your submissions. And speak to your submissions. We do get a lot to read, so it is nice to mix it up a little bit by having people attend the gallery. And so, and in particular, like Anna's, I felt really moving, and things, you know, not being a Nagambie resident, although we try to stay all over the Shire, it was great that you brought this in. So I really do appreciate hearing from that. And it's not often we get a thank you on our budget, so thanks, Bill. That's I was told that this is a thankless job most of the time, but everyone heard the thank you, so that was good. And it's great to hear the passion from our community as well. So please, keep doing that. That's brilliant, and it's nice to hear, what bowls clubs and friendlies and memorial ovals do for our communities, which we do know impacts mental health. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Horrigan. Councillor Murray, would you like to speak to the motion, or you can reserve your right for later?
I'd just like to echo the comments of the mover and say it's terrific to see so many volunteers who've put out so much time and energy into our community and who are willing to come out on a night like tonight and help us form a better budget, or a budget that is as appropriate and responsive as possible. So that's great. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Murray. Would any other councillor like to speak for or in opposition of the motion? No? Okay, councillors, I shall put the motion to a vote. Can I see a show of hands for all those in favour, please? Thank you. And against? And I declare that motion carried. CEO Salomon, is there any confidential business to consider this evening?
Thank you, Mayor, and through you, no, there is no confidential business today.
Thank you. Councillors, the next meeting of council is an ordinary council meeting scheduled to be held on Tuesday the 21st of June 2022 at the Euro Community Conference Centre, commencing at 6 p.m. There being no further business, I declare that this meeting has closed at 5:05 p.m.